Crypto has been around for many years now, and I find it interesting how still to date, very few people actually look at relative valuations. Is Ethereum expensive? Is it cheap? It's not visible in US dollar charts, because in US dollar charts, we just get the general ups and downs of the market. But here we see Ethereum's market cap relative to the altcoin market cap, excluding the stablecoins. So this is total 3 ES. And this trades in a range. And this is a chart that starts in 2017. We have an upper bound, we've got a lower bound, and we've got the average ratio indicated as this dotted line. Is Ethereum currently expensive? Is it currently cheap? At least relative to the altcoin market, it's very close to balanced with currently positive momentum. How much more potential upside do we have? Maybe an outperformance of 45%, potentially 65%. We can also adjust this. This is the Ethereum market cap relative to the others market cap. Again, we are slightly above the equilibrium. The others market cap measures the cryptocurrency market cap except the top 10. So we're looking at all the smaller altcoins. Using charts like this, we do get an idea at what point it might make sense to buy the bottom. So that was here in April of last year when Tom Lee of BitMine started to buying Ethereum. But we also get the points in time where Ethereum might be expensive. Now those two representations of Ethereum's price or Ethereum's market cap relative to the rest of the altcoin market aren't necessarily that common. There is a more common measure though, and that's Ethereum dominance. The reason why Ethereum dominance is interesting is because enough people watch that chart, and so it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If enough people think that Ethereum is cheap at one point, it might simply get bought more. If enough people think that Ethereum is comparatively expensive, it might get sold more. And so this is Ethereum's dominance. Again, we bottomed out in April of last year when Tom Lee started buying. This top over here, that was the move from proof of work to proof of stake, called the merge. So that's when the tokenomics and the whole technical underpinning of Ethereum changed. And we can adjust this chart slightly by looking at Ethereum's market cap relative to the rest of crypto, excluding the stable coins. But let's first go to Ethereum's dominance. This is a relatively obvious line to draw. The bottoms align, the tops align. Those are two parallel lines as well. And we are now very close to the make or break. A decision will be made very soon. Are we breaking out, and will Ethereum continue its positive momentum versus the altcoins, or will we stay in the bearish trend? Now, I think that the bear scenario is a bit less likely, and there are several pointers for that. The first pointer is Ethereum's market cap relative to the rest of crypto, excluding the stablecoins. So the chart we just briefly looked at, here we've already seen the breakout. So with stablecoins, we haven't broken out yet. Without stablecoins, we are already bullish. But there's another reason to start to get bullish on Ethereum, and that's simulations of buying and selling Ethereum, trying to find trading rules that historically worked very well for Ethereum. When we look at those trading rules, they tend to now turn bullish. Let's first look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently is still bearish. The shorter term moving average is below the longer term moving average. The 2-day plus the 116-day simple moving average historically used to be the best for Bitcoin. Here is the same for Ethereum, and Ethereum has made a golden cross. Here, the best moving averages are the 33-day and the 12-day simple moving average. Here is how well that trading strategy worked over time. So this is just buying and holding Ethereum, and this is using the trading strategy, and it turns 85% per annum return to 422% per annum. The risk is pretty much the same, the drawdowns are comparable, but the return is much higher following those death crosses and golden crosses. We had a death cross on the 26th of January, which was the right decision. Afterwards, Ethereum fell. Then we had a golden cross, another death cross, another golden cross. This recent golden cross, by the way, was also announced in the premium membership here in the announcement channel. It also shows the exact sell signals and buy signals, and that signal was from the 11th of April. Now let's say Ethereum really turns around now. Let's say it really goes bullish. This will have an impact on the general altcoin market as well, because there is a lot of correlation. When Ethereum goes up, most altcoins go up as well. When Ethereum goes down, most altcoins go down. There's actually more correlation between Ethereum and the altcoins, between Bitcoin and the altcoins. Really, Ethereum moves the altcoin market, not necessarily Bitcoin that much. Yes, at the beginning of the video, we focused on Ethereum relative to the altcoin market, but there is a somewhat constant trading range. But once we look at Ethereum's market cap relative to the altcoin market cap, we do see that there are more commonalities than differences. So Ethereum is in green, the altcoin market is in white. Sometimes Ethereum is expensive, sometimes the altcoins are expensive. But really, if Ethereum was to rally from here, it would definitely push this from red to green as well. So how much more upside is there for Ethereum? If we just stay in the trading range that had been established 4 years ago, even without being overly optimistic, ETH could easily double from here, potentially even go above $5,000. The question then, of course, is what is going to drive that rally? Let's have a look at the ETFs. Here is the assets under management for the Bitcoin ETF as a percent of the entire market cap. Over the last year, this did indeed go up, but not necessarily as consistent as most people might expect. We are currently at 6.66%. Let's have a look at Ethereum. Here we are at 5.1%. So 5.1% of Ethereum supply is currently held by the ETFs. What's more consistent growth, Ethereum or Bitcoin? It's probably quite comparable. There's no clear winner. What about all of those treasury companies? How quickly are they buying Ethereum? Here are all of those treasury companies combined. This is a monthly chart. This is going up, but unfortunately, the growth is slowing down. This is different to Bitcoin. Here are the Bitcoin treasury companies. And the growth is not necessarily slowing down here, but that's all due to a single player, and that's Michael Saylor's strategy. The other entities aren't really buying that much. But as long as Michael Saylor is buying, Bitcoin will continue to see support. Now, if Michael Saylor suddenly stops acquiring Bitcoin at the same pace, then potentially Ethereum could outperform again. And that would, of course, help Ethereum dominance. That would, of course, also help the altcoin market. So paradoxically enough, less purchases of Bitcoin might actually be good, relatively speaking, for the alts. Here is how I play this market. Ethereum is already bullish. We had our golden cross. We are still quite close to the equilibrium relative to the altcoin market, so there is upside potential. We have not yet broken out of the negative trend with Ethereum's dominance, but we have broken out when we adjust for the stable coins. And I think people will notice once we get that breakout in dominance as well. If Ethereum is not selling off in the next days, if it just stays at the current level, or if it goes up slightly, if it outperforms slightly, then this could lead to a wave of selling, because then it becomes obvious that things are turning around for ETH. But for Ethereum to double from here, we do need positive momentum for Bitcoin as well. We are getting closer to a golden cross in ETH, but we've been bearish since October of last year, and we've been betting on falling prices of Bitcoin since then. Without a golden cross here, Ethereum is not going to double. But the next weeks will be very interesting. Maybe we already get a decision by end of the month. If you got some value out of this video, feel free to give it a like. It helps the channel grow. Feel free to also subscribe. I publish videos regularly. If you're interested in doing your own backtest, or if you want to get the trading signals as we write Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, various altcoins, feel free to check out the premium membership. Link to premium is over here. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Cheers.